welcome back to my channel. My name is Anissa Naomi. I'm a high performance transformation coach. I help women elevate in work, life, and at home so they can have it all. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today about really just asking yourself questions, getting critical with looking at your life and using critical thinking skills to create transformation in your life. Now, I know that might not sound super sexy, but this is the way that I have really been able to create results in my life over the past couple of years that have been truly extraordinary, things that I've wished for, things that I've longed for that are now a reality for me. And I make it a habit to continue to use this method and to use this skill to create more and more results in my life. So I'm giving you that today, and by the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you how you can get the 4 most powerful questions that I ask myself in order to create the results that I want in my life. Let's get to it. So when I first discovered this connection between critical thinking and creating results in your life, my mind was kind of blown. And I didn't even really realize that this was a critical thinking skill until really right now. I've always been a critical thinker. It's always been one of my skills that has kind of come naturally to me. And I've used that to scale my career, to grow my skills, and to really stand out in corporate America. But I never would have realized that this skill that has been able to have me stick out in school, in like standardized tests, that was always a skill that I indexed high on, if you will. And now it's something that I'm using to really just create these transformative results in my life. So I'm excited to share it with you so that you can create the results that you want in your life. So the first time that I got introduced to this idea of really looking critical at your life, I was at a live event, Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within event. Now, some of you guys have probably heard of Tony Robbins. He is a transformation coach. He's kind of like the godfather of life coaching, if you will. A lot of his concepts have been taught far and wide, and he has really just kind of pioneered this space. So when I went to this event, I wasn't too familiar with his work. I wasn't too familiar with his methods, his books, or anything like that. So this was kind of my first exposure. One of the things that Tony Robbins does and his methods and the people that he brought in did was really bring you through some of these exercises that force you to take a critical look at your current circumstances, take a critical look at the circumstances that you wish that you were in, and kind of juxtapose the two. So during this Unleash the Power Within event, it was virtual for me this time because it was during COVID when I went to the event, but it was still super immersive. One of the things that Tony Robbins does or did at the time was bring you through an exercise where you really just kind of envision what the life that you want for yourself looks like. And he does this kind of in all categories. And as I was going through this exercise a couple of years ago, it was really difficult for me to do this. It was really difficult for me to get into a mindset of imagining what I really wanted in my life. And I say that to encourage you because a lot of times it can be difficult for us to dream and to imagine because we're kind of stunted in our dreaming at a very early age when it doesn't seem practical to those people around us. So if you're thinking about these questions that I'm throwing out and you're like, girl, I don't even know, don't worry. This is a skill and it takes practice. So be gracious with yourself, be patient with yourself. You're totally capable of growing this skill. So one of the things that Tony Robbins did was really ask you, what do you really want out of life? What do you want your life to look like? What do you really want your relationships to look like? And I struggled with these questions when I first started to have them. And what I realized over the last couple of years is the reason why I struggled with just jumping straight into imagination and what I really wanted is because I had an idea of what I was supposed to want. And so it was difficult for me to get to an answer, and I'm sure if I sat with it long enough, I could have got to an answer, but I had to give myself a little bit of a bridge question. And the powerful thing about asking yourself questions is that your brain is always going to look for an answer when you ask questions. So it's super important that you're asking yourself the right questions so that you can get to powerful, impactful answers that are going to create the transformation that you want in your life. Tony Robbins says that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. So if you are looking to improve your life, you have to improve your questions. I love that quote because it really just tells you that you can always look for the answers that are going to benefit you, that are going to create transformation in your life, and that are really going to get you what you actually want out of life. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as I've gone through this methodology or these exercises over the last couple of years to create the results that I have in my life and the results that I really always wanted but wasn't super clear on, I kind of modified some of these exercises that we went through at UPW. And what I found was that I really had to take a critical look at some of the ideas and concepts that I had in my life around what success was supposed to look like. So I realized that it was difficult for me to get to a place of this is what I really want before evaluating what I had been told that I wanted and deciding whether or not that was still what I wanted, right? So to put it another way, oftentimes we'll work really hard for a version of success that maybe we wanted at one time, or maybe somebody else wanted for us. So we've invested a lot of time, we've invested a lot of energy, and it's difficult for us to start imagining something else because you've worked for this, you've put time in, you've got sweat equity towards this other version of success. So why would you start ideating on a different version of success when you've put all this time and energy into what everybody has told you success should look like, or what you thought success was for you in a different season of your life? So I want to just talk about that for a second. It's completely okay to pivot. It's completely okay to turn your attention to something else in this season of your life. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It just means that your priorities are different now and you want something new, you want something different. It's okay to pivot. That's one of the things that I mentioned in my last video was a skill. Knowing when to pivot is a skill that can really help you maximize your life, and it's one of the things that helped me scale my career to 6 figures. So don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to let go of something that's no longer serving you. Don't be afraid to put down a version of success that isn't fulfilling to you anymore, because the more that you stay in it, the less and less fulfilled that you will be, the more discontentment will grow, the more resentment will grow, and really the more miserable you'll be. So you might as well just cut your losses early if you know that this isn't for you anymore. I know that's a tough pill to swallow. I know that you have worked really hard for your success that you've created in your life up until now, but I want you to know that you're perfectly capable of creating a newer version of success, and a version of success that serves you in this season of your life. So once you get okay with the fact that there might be some limiting beliefs running around on what success looks like for you, there might be an old program running around what success looks like for you, and letting go of that program, now you can ask yourself, by asking yourself the critical question of, does that version of success excite me? Does it excite me to continue down this path? Does it excite me to continue running an old script that maybe somebody else wrote for me, or something that was serving me at one point in time? And likely if you're watching this video, it might be that that version of success is not something that you want anymore. It doesn't excite you anymore. It's not something that you can see yourself being fulfilled by. And so if that's the case, then you have to ask yourself the question of, well, what would excite me? What do I really want in the core of my being? So now you've freed up some capacity to start imagining a different version of success, because you become more aware that maybe the version of success that you've been seeking, or the version of success that you've been working after, might not be aligned with what you really want. So those are kind of the process and the questions that you have to ask in order to be able to free up your mental capacity to start imagining. Sometimes we really just have to grow up in our capacity to imagine, in our capacity to desire, and our capacity to think a little bit differently than what we've been told. And then another thing that I like to do is really imagine what would happen if I go after this version of success that I really want. What would happen if I created success for myself in my career in a way that's meaningful to me, in a way that makes me feel my best, in a way where I'm putting my best gifts forward into my life. What would happen if I were to go after my version of success in my home, in my relationships? What would happen if I were to go after my version of success in my social life? What would happen? Who would I impact? How would it make me feel? How would it make the people around me feel? And really looking at this in an aspirational way. Who are the people who would be proud of me? Who are the people who could benefit from me going after what success looks like for me? Because at the end of the day, your success is not limited to yourself. When you succeed and create success for yourself, you are able to influence those people around you. You free up your mental capacity to be fulfilled and to shine a light on the people who are in your sphere of influence. And that's really what success is all about. It's about having the capacity to impact others. It's about letting your light shine. It's about creating a sense of fulfillment, not just for yourself, but to impact the people around you. And that's the question that gets me the most excited. That's the question that sparks me into action. Imagining what happens from a positive perspective when I go after what I want. Who is impacted by that? Whose life is better by that? There's always people that are impacted, and it doesn't have to be some big grand vision. It can be impact to the state of your nuclear family. It can be impact to the state of just your friend group. But when you do that, there's a ripple effect that happens in this world. And you can influence the people around you, and in turn, they influence the people around them, and so on and so forth. So don't limit yourself because you're saying that your success is small. Your version of success is small. There's a compact effect that happens when you go after success and create it for yourself. There's a ripple effect or a butterfly effect, if you will, when you're able to positively influence your sphere of influence, and then they go in turn do that for their sphere of influence, and all collectively we rise up and we get better and we create these versions of ourselves that we really had stopped imagining about, or maybe we daydreamed about and just thought that they would never come. But it's that question of how does going after this version of success impact the people around me that just opens up every door, shuts down every doubt, and allows you to take that inspired action towards actually going after it and creating results in your life. Now, I know some people are super visual people, so what I did was I created a worksheet for you. I took the 4 most powerful questions that I asked myself over the last couple of years to create outstanding results in my life, to help me double my income, to help me cultivate a relationship with my husband through the midst of a lot of adversity, a pandemic, unemployment, a lot of stuff, and to continue to rise up in our relationship through asking myself these questions. And so many more results that I created that were important to me. And I want you to be able to create the results that are important to you. So it's through these 4 questions that I believe that you will be able to get there. I'm linking in this description how to get that. So you can download a worksheet, reflect on these questions, journal on these questions. I promise you that if you do this, it will open up your mind to what success looks like for you, and you will begin to have inspired action in your life to start getting closer to those results. I love you so much. There's nothing you can do about it. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye.